Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing a baby related video and I really wanted to do this because before we went on our first holiday with Gray, we were really intimidated by the whole idea. We actually booked a holiday to France. We went to Montpellier and I booked it when I was pregnant because I knew that I would be nervous about the idea of going away and getting on an airplane with a baby. So to kind of prevent myself from avoiding the whole idea, I booked the holiday when pregnant. So I knew that I basically couldn't get out of it because I knew once I had the baby, it just wouldn't be like a top priority for me to actually commit and book a holiday. So we did it when I was pregnant, and then we just knew that we were gonna have it when she was around 3 months. So we went in August, she was born in May. So I asked for a lot of advice from friends. I did some research online, and I just thought it would be a bit of a trial and error situation. So we went away and I wrote loads of notes on like how it was, and I thought I would come back and do a video for you guys, for any of you that are thinking of traveling with a small baby. Now, I'm not gonna lie, it was quite stressful. Like, we went away for 2 weeks, we went away for 10 days, and I don't think I started to enjoy the holiday until about a week in. On day 3, I literally said to Rich, please can we go home? And I think there was a couple of things. I think I was a bit shocked at the reality of how different a holiday is with a baby, and I don't think I'd really prepared myself for that. I just found that it was more stressful than being at home, and the idea of going on holiday before having a baby was always about relaxing and enjoying yourself. And I found that, like, obviously your baby is in the same routine as at home, but you haven't got all your things around you. You haven't got the machine that helps you make your bottles. You haven't got like your monitor that's working. Like, there was no aircon in the house and it was a boiling heat wave, so I was really worried about her being too hot. And there was just all these like other new challenges and elements, and I think that was really difficult. But we did throw ourselves in the deep end, and I think now we came back from that holiday like way more chilled about things. Also, going away with lots of other people was tricky because we all had to work around like different schedules. It wasn't just about working around Gray's schedule. There were other kids on the holiday as well. They eat at different times and sleep at different times, and that was also a little bit of a challenge. So I would say go away for a longer period of time, because I think it does take longer to settle in. That's something I've learned. Like, I'm not gonna go away for 3 days now with a baby because it would take 3 days to just get into the holiday. But I've also learned lots of other things along the way, and today's video, I'm gonna be sharing with you my tips for traveling with a small baby. Okay, my first tip is a bit of a luxury actually, and it's not something we really would have done before, but if you're driving to the airport and thinking of parking, so with us, before having a baby, we would have driven to the airport and left our car in like a long stay or short stay car park, and then you get a little bus to the airport, and that's fine when it's just you two and a few suitcases. But with a baby, that can be quite stressful. So we actually paid for something at the airport called meet and greet. It was about £100, so it's not cheap, but I totally think it was worth it. And it means that you drive straight to the airport. There's like a little car park there, and you leave your car and they go and park it for you, and you're basically at the airport. And then when you land, you just give them like a ring or a text and they bring the car, and it's there for you to get straight into. And I just found it made the whole like parking airport situation way less stressful. So it's called meet and greet. I think there are a few different companies that do it. Totally worth the money. Okay, the next thing is a car seat. Now, lots of people don't take their car seats away with them. My sisters always rent a car seat when they go away, but I've heard lots of like horror stories from friends where they arrive at the destination and the car hire place where they've rented the car seat from have given them one that's completely like inappropriate for the age, especially if you've got a really small baby. If they give you like one of the bigger car seats, they're just not going to be secure in that. So I think when kids are older, you can be more relaxed about renting car seats. But for me, because she was only 3 months, I wanted to take our car seat that I knew was safe. It's never been in a crash. I know that it's the right size for her, and I was a bit worried about it being quite stressful to take a car seat away, but it was so easy. So let me tell you how we did it, because it really wasn't like as tricky as people kind of make it out to be. We bought something called an iSafe bag, and we just got it from Amazon. It's a massive bag and the car seat literally goes in it. So when we arrived at the airport in our car, we took the car seat out, put it in this bag and just put it on a trolley. And the bag's huge and there's loads of space inside it. They don't actually weigh the bag because when you check in the car seat, when you check in your bags, and they kind of put it in a separate section, like oversized luggage or something. So you can actually fit a few other things in that bag as well, which is great. We put some nappies in there, and we also put in her bath seat. We weren't planning on taking her bath seat with us, but I'm actually really glad that we did. One, the baths in the house that we were renting was really tricky and awkward, so it would have been really hard to like hold her in the bath. She obviously can't sit up yet, so it was really nice to have her bath seat for that. But we also used it just as like a seat when we were like in the house, because obviously when we're at home, she's got her like baby Bjorn chair, but she didn't have anything like that there. And I didn't want to just lie her on the ground all the time. So we used it as a bit of a seat. And we also used it by the pool. It's obviously got the kind of mesh holes in it, so you can like splash water onto them. And it's really nice as like a little kind of by the water seat as well. So it was really easy to check in the car seat. And then at the other end, you just go to like the oversized luggage bit and it'll be there waiting for you. With the Maxi Cozy car seat, you don't have to have the Isofix. We've got the Isofix at home, but when you go on holiday or if you're using a car that doesn't have one, it's really easy to strap in. I did find it a little bit annoying to strap in because the seatbelt kind of goes across the baby. It makes it quite awkward for them to get like in and out of it. But other than that, I felt really happy just having our car seat with us, and it really wasn't difficult to take at all. Some of the bags that you can get can go like on like a big rucksack, which so you can like carry them around the airport, but you don't have it for long because you just kind of go in the airport, checking your luggage, and you're done. I would also highly recommend a travel buggy. If you go to my Instagram, which is @LilyPebbles, and go to my highlights, I've actually done a little comparison between the Baby Zen Yo-Yo and the Silver Cross Jet. Me and my sister did it whilst we were on holiday. I always thought I wanted the Yo-Yo, and I think I would have bought it, but Silver Cross offered to send me their Jet buggy, which is like their travel buggy, and we're really happy with it. It's a really great buggy, and I do think it's good to have like a smaller travel buggy. One, because if you take your big buggy, then it has to be checked into the hold, and they really throw them around and it can get damaged, and these buggies are expensive, so I wouldn't want to do that. Whereas the smaller buggies, not only can you take them right up to the plane door, which when you have a little baby is so important because you don't want to be holding them the whole time, but then you can also put it in the overhead compartment above you so that you can have it straight away when you get off the plane. So if they're sleeping, that's so handy, you can just put them straight in the buggy. They fold up really easy. I'm really happy with our Silver Cross Jet. I also think the Baby Zen Yo-Yo is a great buggy. We put a sheepskin liner on ours, and I got a lot of questions whilst we were away asking why we did that. The whole thing with like sheepskin, it's meant to kind of keep them warm when they're cold and keep them cool when they're hot. It's also just really like comfortable because some of these travel buggies, they're a bit kind of like, not like plasticky, they're a bit rough, and obviously when you're on holiday, you're not wearing as many clothes, you're not wearing jumper and leggings like you would be doing here. You're wearing kind of shorts and a strappy top, and I think it just kind of, their skin rubs on it and it's not as comfortable. So we did like the sheepskin. We got one from Mothercare in the end. We had to like cut it a bit so that the 5 harness strap would fit through. I think on some days when it was really hot, we found that it was too thick and we decided to take it off, but most of the time it made it really comfortable for her. Best thing about the Silver Cross Jet is that it lies flat and it goes up and down really easily. The worst thing is that it can only face outwards, which when your baby's 3 months is a little bit scary, but she actually loved it. It was just me who like missed looking at her. One more thing for the buggy is a buggy fan. We bought one on Amazon. It literally just clips onto the side of the buggy, and we found this so useful. Whether we were sitting on the beach and she was having a nap in the buggy and we just put the fan like onto her legs, or if we were walking around, or if you're in like somewhere stuffy, it's just nice to have like a little fan that you can put on their legs and just gives them a bit of a breeze, because it's scary when babies get hot, so I'm really glad that we had that. I mentioned this earlier in the video, but something we really struggled with was our monitor. We took our Motorola monitor away with us and we didn't even think anything of it, but the house that we were renting was much bigger than our house. In our house, we're sitting down in the lounge, and Gray's bedroom's pretty much directly above us, so the monitor stretches easily. We never have signal problems. If we're in the garden, we pull up the little antenna and it's fine. But in this house, it was so big that the monitor wouldn't stretch. It basically just said no signal. And she was so far away that we couldn't just not have a monitor. We couldn't just rely on hearing her cry. And also she doesn't really cry. Like if she gets to the point of crying, then it's like far too gone. Like you have to kind of catch her before she gets to that crying stage, if her dummy's fallen out or if she's just tossing and turning a bit. And also just for peace of mind, I really like to see on the screen that she's okay, especially if she's quite far away from us in the house. So we were really panicked about that. And the first like week of the holiday, we were just like having to put the monitor in the kitchen where there was signal. When we were sitting in the lounge, we'd run back and forth to check on her, and it was, I found I couldn't relax at all. And then we found an app on the App Store. It's called the Baby Monitor, I think. I will link it down below. and it works as a monitor because it works on Wi-Fi. So all you need is 2 devices. So whether you have 2 phones or an iPad and a phone, what we did is we put Rich's phone upstairs in her bedroom. We just lent it on a suitcase so it was kind of looking down at her in the cot. And then we used my iPad as the monitor screen downstairs. And as long as you've got Wi-Fi connection and both devices are on Wi-Fi, you can use it as a monitor, and it was brilliant. And it just like saved the rest of the holiday. I could relax, I could see her. The camera was actually really good. We just needed to open the door a little bit to have some light in because they don't have the kind of night vision that normal monitors have. But it was actually really clear because the cameras on phones are so good now. So I would highly recommend that. I will put the link for that app down below. It was just a lifesaver. Travel cot. If you're going away, the place where you're going might already have a travel cot, always worth checking. The house that we went to had a cot, but it wasn't quite right for us, and my sister ended up using it for her son anyway. So we decided to take our own. We did a lot of research into travel cots, and we really liked the microlight one. We actually bought one, and then they ended up sending us one, and I didn't realize they were sending me one, but either way, it's the one that we would have chose because it's so great. It's really small and really light, so it's not heavy to carry at all. But what I really like about it is it has this bassinet insert. When your baby's really little, I personally didn't want to put her like right down on the floor in a cot because she's not used to sleeping like that. She's used to being high up, and also you're taking them in and out a lot to feed them throughout the night, so it's quite tricky for you to like bend down all the way to the floor. It's not an essential, but I really like that microlight cot has this separate section at the top where smaller babies can lie in, and they're nearer the top, and then once they've grown out of that, it can just turn into a normal travel cot. This one also works as a playpen, although I don't think we would use that. My sister did point out that this is a smaller size travel cot. There are larger ones, so depending on how tall your child ends up, this might only last kind of 2 years or so, but that was perfect for us, and we like how lightweight it is and compact to pack everything in the car. We've used it a few times since that holiday, and it's just great. We also travelled with our sleepyhead. Gray is no longer sleeping in her sleepyhead, but she did for the first 3 months, and she did whilst we were away. And I felt like that was quite an extravagant thing to take away with me, but I asked lots of people, and loads of people do it. You just kind of fill half the case with it, and then you stuff it full of other things like nappies and anything else you're taking with you, just kind of put inside the sleepyhead. And that worked really well for us. We just took the cover off and then kind of deconstructed it and put it in the suitcase, and it fit fine. I think if your baby's really little, it's quite nice to have something like a sleepyhead because you can use it downstairs if you're like just sitting by the pool, or if you're in the lounge or something like that. It's very like portable, and babies just love lying in them. They feel really like comforted by it. Baby swimsuits. I learned a lot about baby swimsuits. We had a couple of like swimming costumes that people had bought us as gifts, which was so cute, but like crazy impractical. Like babies don't wear swimming costumes because they need to be covered up. It keeps them warm when they're covered up, it protects them from the sun. So as cute as baby swimming costumes are, they are very impractical. And then when it comes to like UV suits, there are quite a few different ones. And to be honest, I haven't found the perfect one. So if anyone knows of one, please let me know. This is the closest I got. Some of them were tops and bottoms separate. Didn't like those because obviously her stomach would like stick out, and it was just really like awkward. Some of them have little tiny zips at the top, and they are impossible to get on. Just a tiny zip at the top, no buttons at the bottom, and getting something so tight fitting onto a baby on and off. Like Gray just hates having things put over her head, and especially when it's wet and you're trying to take it off, that was really stressful. So this is the best one we found. It's from John Lewis, and I like it because the zip goes really far down, although I would like it to go all the way to the bottom, but it goes really far down so it opens wide. And then there are poppers at the bottom as well, so if you need to change their nappy, you can just get into the bottom, you don't have to take it off. It's long sleeve, long legs. That's what I would recommend. Make sure you get one with a big zip or poppers down the front, because getting it off otherwise is just like so traumatic. Something else that is great either for during the summer or if you're going away somewhere warm, this is the Aiden and Anae sleep bag. So babies sleep in sleep bags these days, if you didn't know, because they can't really have a duvet or a blanket just in case it goes over their head. So the idea of a sleep bag is they kind of like wear it. So this is the top, their arms and head go through, and then the bottom is literally just like a bag. But these are so nice, and I find these nicer than like the one tog bags from other brands because It's like a muslin material, so it's really thin and breathable. The zip goes from the bottom up, which means that you could literally just change their nappy without having to take them completely out of the bag. And they're just really nice for the summer. I love that it's like a muslin material, so we got one of those and we were really happy with it. Actually, most of the time on the holiday she did sleep just in a nappy because it was so hot, but in the second week when it cooled down she wore the sleep bag. If you are bottle feeding, then traveling with a baby I guess is a little bit more stressful. I remember when I was kind of transitioning from breastfeeding to bottles and kind of feeding myself all these like guilt things and trying to decide what to do, and one of them that just kept going around in my head was, oh, but it's so much easier to travel with a baby if you're breastfeeding, and that's what so many people tell you. And to be honest, it's really not that bad. It's not as bad as I thought it would be at all. Obviously it's much easier to just breastfeed your baby, but once you're in a like routine with bottles, it's really okay. And we found the best thing to do when traveling, when you don't have like your sterilizing machine and everything on you, is the Medela sterilizing bags. I wanted to show you guys one, but Rich has packed them away somewhere and I can't find them. We took bottle brush with us. We bought some like fairy liquid when we were out there, and we took with these Medela sterilizing bags, and we knew how to use them because they had something similar in the hospital when Gray was first born. We had to like top her up every now and again when I was breastfeeding her, so we had to sterilize in those first few days as well. And it's basically, it's very clever. It's a bag that you fill with a little bit of water and the bottle once you've washed it, and you put it in the microwave and it sterilizes the bottle, and then you basically pour out the water and you take the bottle out, and you can use that one bag up to 20 times I think. So we just took a Sharpie pen with us and marked off every time we used the bag so we could keep track. And it's so easy. All you have to take are these little bags and they fold flat. You don't have to take a sterilizing machine or anything like that with you. We did the dummies in those bags as well, and they worked out really, really well. We just got into a routine like we do here. Every night after we put her to bed, we washed all the bottles, and it was so fun. So I would definitely recommend those bags. We got those over the sterilizing tablets because if you use the sterilizing tablets, you have to make sure you've got like a big bucket or something, and we weren't sure what would be in the house, so we didn't want to have to rely on that. Something I thought was a bit excessive, I got a bit panicky on the lead up to the holiday and just started making like crazy Amazon orders, and one of those were travel window shades. And I thought, oh my God, my sisters are gonna make fun of me so bad for these. But actually, I'm really glad that we took them because we definitely used them and we definitely needed them. It was so sunny in France. They're like that small, went in my like backpack when I went on the plane, and then they fold out and they just stick onto the window of the car. These are the ones that we found best. We did try another brand that we didn't like. So these ones just stick on. I put them on each side, and I mean, even with those on, some of the sun went from around the edge was going in her eye, and Gray hates having sun in her eye. She's such like a little diva when it comes to that. But these really, really helped. So I don't know, I think if we hadn't have had those, she literally would have had the sun in her face every time you got in the car and drove somewhere. So I'm really glad we took those. And then I would also recommend taking with a giant like muslin kind of blanket, one of those ones that's in between, something like this. So it's actually quite thin, but it's really soft. And it's absolutely massive. And just keep one of those in your bag at all times. This is from the brand Baloo. Their stuff is so, so soft and really cute. This is like a pink sheep print. Keep this on you at all times because it can be used for so many things. It can be used as a muslin when you're feeding, to wipe their mouths or whatever, or to cover you if you want to be covered when you're feeding. On the plane, when it gets a little bit chilly, you can use it as a blanket. When you're walking in the buggy, if there's sun on their legs, you can just cover their legs. You can cover the buggy if you want a little bit of shade or something. Like, it just has so many uses, so essential. Two more things, a sling. We used the sling mainly on the plane. So when we got on the plane, we put the buggy in the overhead compartment. I actually didn't take her on the plane on the buggy. When we got to the gate, I put her in the sling and we folded the buggy up. And I just found that easier because then I had hands free. So I had one hand for my bag, I could carry the buggy. And then until we sat down in the seat, I didn't take her out of the sling. And then on the way there, because she was a little bit unsettled, it was her first time on a plane, I put her in the sling and just walked up and down the middle, and it completely calmed her. Babies love slings because they feel like, it's like having a big cuddle. They feel so secure, and it's just so nice that you have hands free so you can look at your phone or do whatever you need to do. So I would definitely recommend taking the sling. Our favorite one is the Baby Bjorn one. That's what we use. I found it the easiest to put on. I tried the Ergo Baby and I didn't like it as much. And then my final tip, if you're worried about the actual flight itself, we found on the way there that her ears were hurting her and we weren't really prepared for that. So on the way back, we made sure that we fed her a bottle on landing. Actually, I think on the way back she was asleep and her ears didn't hurt at all when she was asleep. that's obviously like a thing, but we were prepared to feed her if she was awake. We tried the dummy on the way out, but it's not the sucking action I think that helps their ears, it's the swallowing. So whether you're breastfeeding or bottle feeding, just feed them on landing. Even if it's not feeding time, just give them a bit, because I think the distraction, I think the swallowing will help their poor little ears. I mean, my ears used to hurt on planes until I was about 15. I used to cry on landing. So although I felt really bad that she was in pain, I just think it's so common, and it's not even just babies, like you can have that as an adult. And I think she benefited from the holiday, that it was worth it. I did feel really bad, but on the way back she was asleep and she didn't even like wake up on landing. So I don't know, it must be different every time. But I do think that feeding on landing would help. So those are all my tips. I mean, sounds relaxing, hey? That wasn't even like half of the stuff we took. Going on holiday with a baby is insane. It's very, very different, but it's still worth doing. Like, it's so important to me to keep going on holiday and traveling and showing her the world. You just have to take a lot of stuff, and you personally cannot take anything. Oh my God, I took like no clothes with me. Also, just to let you know, I definitely overpacked in terms of clothes for Gray. Like, if you're going somewhere hot, they basically stay in a nappy and naked the whole time. They don't wear like cute little rompers because it's just too hot. So don't pack too many clothes. Okay, I hope this video was helpful to some of you. Please let me know how you have found going on holiday with a baby, and if you have any tips. Like, the older she gets, I'm gonna need more and more tips, because I actually think going away when they're little is probably the easiest time. It's tricky in terms of like equipment that you need, but easy in terms of they just like sit and don't do anything. So yeah, please pass on any tips you have. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.